Hi there, this is Alexis from the Northland Library Computer Center. April is Financial Literacy Month, and today we're going to be talking about avoiding banking scams. We'll be going over a few of the most common methods of scams and how you can avoid them by learning what they look like. So to start off, what do bank scammers want? Basically, they want you to share your personal information with them, such as account numbers or passwords or anything else that they can use to impersonate you or to get into your accounts. They do this through a variety of methods. There's, for example, email, phone, text, and social media, and we'll be looking at some examples of all of these. So first off, what is phishing? You've probably heard this before, to avoid phishing emails and things like that. Phishing is defined as the fraudulent attempt to attain sensitive information, such as passwords or credit card numbers, by impersonating a trustworthy entity in a digital communication. So basically, it's somebody pretending to be your bank, sending you an informational request through email or phone. They could pretend to be a government organization. They could pretend to be a relative. There's any number of phishing email scams out there, but we'll be looking at some ways that you can sort of detect if something is phishing. Here is an example email. You will see here that this is supposedly from your bank. Scammers often do have some basic information. They know what bank you use or something like that. They know that you probably have a PayPal account, some things like that. So it may look like it's coming from your bank, but you can check other things in a phishing email. One example is here. It says to recipients. It doesn't have your name. It doesn't say dear so-and-so. It seems like perhaps it was copy-pasted and sent out to thousands of people trying to scam them. So that's one sign perhaps that this isn't really from your bank. Your bank does know your name. They'll probably put that in the email. So that's sort of a hint that this might be a little suspicious. So then you can look over the rest of the email, and there are often, weird formatting errors, typos, that sort of thing in phishing emails. For example, in this one, you can see they used the word temporal where the word temporal shouldn't be. They want you to prevent temporal deactivation of your account, which makes it sound like they're going to throw your bank account down into a wormhole. They probably meant temporary, but that's another sign that this is not quite above board. And then, of course, with phishing emails, there's often scammy links. You can see here there's a link they want you to click, but you should always check links before you click them, and if they even seem slightly suspicious, do not click them. You can look at this link. You can open a new tab or window and use your usual, however you usually get to your bank, type in the URL in the address bar and go there, and then log in that way. You don't want to click a link in a suspicious email, just in case it could be a fraudulent link. So for example, another phishing email, this one's from PayPal. It's a bit better than the other one. It looks professional. There's no weird formatting, no typos. It's got the PayPal logo on it. It's blurred out here, but you can see that it says dear so-and-so. It may have your name there, so they may have gotten your name already. But you can still check for suspicious things in the email. Specifically by looking at the email, you can see here that this is not an official PayPal email. It is a fake Outlook email where they sort of made up a service PayPal address. You can see that PayPal is just spelled very wrong, and it is at outlook.com, which is not where PayPal's emails will be coming from. So you can say, oh, that's definitely fake, or again, if you aren't 100% certain, you can always contact PayPal a different way by logging into their website, how you usually log in, and not by clicking on any links in this suspicious email. Sometimes you will see that emails do the hyperlinking. For example, here it says log in, and it doesn't show you the URL so that you can't immediately see that it's a shoddy link. So one hint that you can try, if you move the mouse over a hyperlink like that, but do not click it, if you just hover the mouse over the link, the lower left-hand corner will show a preview of whatever that's linking to. So you can use that to check, and on any website, you can use that to check where a link is sending you. So for example, if you hover over the login in this email and you see it doesn't take you to paypal.com, it might take you somewhere else, and you know not to click on it because it's not taking you to an official website. And that's another way to check to see if a link is valid or not. All right, there are other kinds of phishing. Sometimes you can get spam texts. Here's a couple examples. The first one up top, that's vague. It doesn't even tell you who it's from. It doesn't really tell you anything about it. And the link they want you to click is clearly fastpay2020.com. It's got all those weird numbers and letters in it. It's probably a spam link, and you don't want to click on it because you have no idea where it's going or who it's from or what it's about. And this second one from Wells Fargo Bank, you might think, well, I do have a Wells Fargo bank account, but again, the link is kind of fishy. It's a shortened Google link. You can't tell where it's going, so you don't want to click on it right away. You don't want to click on it at all if you're thinking, why is Wells Fargo texting me? Maybe they've never texted me before, or I was just logged into my Wells Fargo account on my computer yesterday. So then you're thinking, this is a suspicious text. You can mark it as spam, you can delete it, and then you can obviously contact your bank to see, hey, is my account locked, or was this just spam? So these are just sort of examples of texts that you might get. They're obviously phishing for your information. They send you vague, sort of sometimes scary looking texts with links that don't look legit, and so you don't want to click them and you don't want to give them any of your information. Social media can be another way that people create fake profiles, possibly for a bank or a trusted business. Just some things to look out for. You can see their username is simple_bank_customer_care_inc. So that's very long and unwieldy and unprofessional looking. Probably not the legitimate bank. You can see that they only have 64 followers. You would think if your real bank like Wells Fargo had a social media account, they would have more than 64 followers. So you always want to be careful. You can even see on some social media websites verification. For example, Twitter, has the blue check mark. So that's another sign. If they're unverified as well, that's probably not the legitimate social media profile for that company or that bank. And then here is just an example phishing website. So if you did accidentally click a link before you realized that it might not be the legitimate website, and it could take you somewhere like this. This is clearly fake. It has no formatting. It has a single Wells Fargo logo in the corner. It does not look like $1 million company put this website together. You do not want to put in any of your information here. Don't submit it. You can even see in the URL box up top that this is not Wells Fargo's website. It takes you to some sort of suspicious looking link. So you would just want to close right out of here without putting your information in. All right, that's it for just some email examples, internet examples. But there are also phone scams that people can use to try and get your bank account information. One thing to note now is that caller ID spoofing is a thing. Basically, that means that someone calling you can change the caller ID to a number other than the one that's actually calling. So some scammers will change their caller ID to show up in your area code. It might have your area code, so you might think it's a local call. They may spoof a ID of your bank or a trusted company that you know already, the website, a relative, that kind of thing. So the caller ID, while always good to check, isn't 100% a way to defend against phone scams. So here's some examples. I'm sure we've all got the fake IRS robocalls before. They're pretending to be the IRS. They're threatening you with jail because you didn't pay your taxes or something like that. So that's a pretty easily identifiable phone scam. They want you to call them back and give your information. The IRS already has your information, and they're also not going to be calling you, leaving threatening voicemail messages about how they're going to throw you in jail. So that's pretty obvious ways to see, like, this is suspicious, probably not a legitimate phone call. Slightly more realistic sounding are often scammers who are pretending to be from your bank. Again, they do have some information on you. They know that you bank at Wells Fargo, and they will pretend to be a Wells Fargo employee telling you you have bank account issues, and they want you to share your information with them to resolve the issues. But again, Wells Fargo will not just be calling you over the phone for no reason, telling you, hey, we would like your account number and your passwords and your credit cards. Usually not really happening. So that's something that you would want to be careful for. Any sort of bank account issue calls, anything that has money related in general, it doesn't have to just be your bank, could be other organizations, insurance companies, that sort of thing. Another phone scam that's used to try and get your bank account information are prizes or contests that you've won that you don't even really remember signing up for, but they do require a fee in order for you to collect your prize. This is usually just trying to get money off of you or bank account numbers, that sort of thing. Obviously, be wary of prizes or anything at all actually that requires a fee up front. They probably just want your info, especially if it is a prize that you don't remember entering something for. And then the last one is someone pretending to be a family member. This sort of thing is usually targeted at older people. They may be someone calling you pretending to be your grandson who got mugged in Chicago out of, and you live in Washington, and you're worried about them and they want you to wire them money so that they can get home, but they don't want you to tell their parents because they don't want them to be worried or something like that. That's pretty clearly kind of suspicious. Does it sound like your grandson? Maybe you haven't seen them in so long that you're not sure. So you would want to confirm that, call the parents, call the grandson himself. Don't just immediately give, information to this person over the phone. Don't give them any account information, that sort of thing. So these are just some examples. There are obviously more types of scams out there, but these are some basics, and we will now go to employment scams very briefly, just because, with COVID, a lot of people are reapplying for jobs, applying for new jobs. So just one quick thing to look out for. A job scam might ask for upfront fees in exchange for some sort of guaranteed work. They might want your bank account numbers to transfer some kind of commission payments. So you should always be wary of these kind of things. Real jobs shouldn't be asking you for this kind of information up front, especially if you haven't even, done the interviews or met anyone in person or been actually hired. So that's always something to look out for. And you should also be careful of job websites. Scammers do the same things there. They might post fake listings with weird links. They might send phishing messages through the site. For example, like LinkedIn, you have an account and people can message you. They may be phishing messages. So the same kinds of things that can show up in your regular email you should watch out for while you are job hunting. So it's same kind of be careful, don't just click strange links you don't recognize, that kind of thing. Okay, so we went over some examples of a bunch of different types of scams, and they usually have about 3 things in common. These are the signs, and if you look out for these 3 things, you can pretty accurately spot a scam. First one is that it's unexpected. People are contacting you unsolicited, you're getting a phone call or an email out of the blue. It may even seem to come from someone legitimate, like a relative or your insurance company or your bank, but pretty much it's just suddenly you are receiving this message. You didn't ask for any help for anything, it's just there. And often these messages are scary. They are trying to intimidate you, like that fake IRS robocall. They want you to share details because you're afraid of being thrown in jail by the IRS or something like that. So they're usually got some kind of intimidation factor if they're doing a scam like that. And they're urgent. There's usually this sense of urgency that, your grandson who got mugged needs the money right away, or your computer is infected by a virus and a technician needs all of your information right now so that they can unlock your computer, that kind of thing. So these are the 3 sort of big signs of a scam. They sort of want to surprise you, they want to intimidate you, they want you to hurry up without thinking, and that's how they try and get your information or your money out of you before you have time to think. So what should you do if you see those signs? If you see 2 or 3 of those things happening all at once, you can say it's probably a scam, and you're going to want to resist the urge to respond quickly. You don't want to wire that money or you share your bank details after a suspicious request. You're going to want to hang up. If it's a phone call, contact someone you know is legit, like your bank or your relative, using an email or a website or a phone number that you already have, that you already know is a legitimate contact line. So do that first before you respond to this potential scam request. And you don't give away your information in texts, emails, or over the phone. Basically, like I said, your bank isn't going to call you and ask you for your account number. Your bank knows your account number. They don't need to call you and ask you for it, that kind of thing. If you're not 100% sure who you're talking to, you should not give your information away over the phone or emailing suspicious-looking emails, that kind of thing. And again, with the emails, you don't want to click suspicious links. I'm sure most people know this by now, but it's always good to check the link, especially if it's in an email or a text, and don't click it if you don't recognize it or if it's suspicious looking. And then again, specifically with your bank, you can always call them or log into your account on a trusted, your computer website to see if whatever the issue is actually there. You can talk to somebody and confirm that your account is safe. You can ask them, hey, did you really need this information from me? And that way you can confirm if it was a legitimate request coming over the phone or being emailed to you. And in general, the ways to protect yourself from scams are pretty simple. You just have to do your homework. You want to read and inspect everything. If it's an email, text, it's always good to read the whole thing before you go clicking on links or responding. If an offer looks too suspicious or too good to be true, it probably is. Think about what they're asking for, or if it's one of those prize things where they want you to just pay a small fee, think about it, read all the fine print, and again, don't share your personal information, especially if you're not 100% sure who you're talking to. Avoid fees and high-pressure sales tactics. Don't accept anything that pressures you to act quickly without first reviewing, again, the fine print. They don't want you to think about this stuff. They want you to just respond. They want to get an emotional reaction out of you, so that you don't really think about what you're doing. And overall, you can just use your best judgment. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't move forward, whether it's giving out personal information or clicking on an email link or anything like that. If you've never received a phone call from a specific organization before, think about why you would be receiving one now. Is this something that happens often, or is this something that's new and out of the blue? So basically, you can always stop, think about what's going on, and don't act rashly. One good source of information is the Federal Trade Commission. You can report fraud to them. This is the link here. If you receive any kind of suspicious scam phone calls, emails, you can go to this link to report, or you can also call this number. It's a federal government website where you can report things like fraud, scams, bad business practices, and they also have a site to help you learn how to avoid scams. So you can read up on, what's commonly happening now and tips and tricks to avoid being scammed. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I've put some links here. You can email us at any time at the Computer Center at nplcomp@einetwork.net. And we also have some more videos on financial literacy and other topics on our YouTube. I've put the link to our YouTube channel there, so if you go to that, you can click on our Computer Center playlists and see what else we have. If there's anything else you'd like to know, again, give us an email, and good luck out there.